Thank you so much for bringing the actors and bringing us today to talk about what really matters in the time that we find ourselves in. Why are you here? We're here to talk about scaling partnership for innovation in Somalia. Somalia, as you know, is one of the most conflict-affected countries in Africa, particularly in East Africa. Over the past 30 years, the country of 14, 12, 15, I have 15 here, 15 million people has experienced the collapse of many of its key GDP contributing sector, particularly the one at the heart of this discussion, agriculture. Recurrent shocks, be they drought, flooding, climate-related, have compromised the community's resilience and livelihood. So there's a lot of suffering, but there's a lot of solutions to that suffering as well. And you'll hear some of that. At the same time, what you probably don't hear is that Somalis pay some of the highest prices in the world for energy and other necessary inputs that need or meet basic needs that foster economic growth, including the sector that I mentioned, the agricultural sector. So what? There's a lot of aid that goes into Somalia. On one level, something like $1 billion goes into Somalia once a year to respond to those shocks that I've mentioned. And I think what we need to know, what you need to know, is aid is not the only way to meet those needs. It's a very short-term solution to a long-term problem. It maintains the minimum viability or the minimum viable reality for most people. But lots of things are happening without us knowing. Lots of people are doing amazing work, and you'll hear some of that today. Innovators are meeting many, many needs despite challenging and complex enabling environment. And we're going to hear some of those examples from our stellar 4 panelists today.
Well, you know, most of you know that Somalia is not an easy place to work. And there are so many issues, there's so many problems. So it was kind of like very shocking to come back and in a country that was devastated. We had all kind of infrastructure, research, extension, and everything, and now you start from zero. So I said, where to start from now? We established a plot where we call it Agribusiness Incubation Center, APIC, and it's still there. In fact, we have established a big facility outskirts of Mogadishu, where we do a number of things. We have three laboratories. One is a soil laboratory, one is a seed quality control laboratory, and the third one that we are establishing now, which is at the final stage, is a tissue culture laboratory for banana production in Somalia. So we have a 50 or 60 hectare of land near the river where we practice our research plots, seed production plots, and also aiming banana for export in the near future.
What I decided was, and I started speaking with Somali investors that I had got introduced to, and explained that there's an opportunity out there that we can solve the water problem as well as the energy problem because they're interlinked. And SolarGen and now started operation because 2010 was just a registration, but 2012 we started our first operation. We were able to get our first pilot, and then after that, I think it has been up. We have introduced one solution after another. We have done community mini grids. We have done irrigation systems. Recently, we even introduced a revenue management system for the water because when you do the infrastructure, the biggest challenge is sustainability, and because the communities are not well versed with revenue management, then at the time when you have problems, and this happens more often than not during the farm mines, then they can't afford fuel simply because there was no savings. No money has been collected, and and the officials have been pocketing and using this money hoping that the generator will never break and the fuel will always be available, but that's not the case.
They are providing solutions, but they are also making money as a private sector. That is a very key thing which we need to actually talk about in this room. And by the fact that they are able to sustain their businesses within Somalia, there is still a lot of potential within it. So that is something which I feel it needs to be echoed, even as we are trying to look for sustainable solutions.
So basically what we did is that we designed this product keeping in mind coping strategies for drought risk. And the idea was that once a payout was triggered, this payout could actually help them cope with the drought risk in terms of using this money to pay for food, fodder, feed, veterinary services, so on and so forth. So that's why it was important, and as a result of which, what we did is that we crowded in the private sector, which was essentially the insurance companies. So they were the face of the product, and we were the ones who were doing things at the back.
12 months on, after the implementation of the project, I can say the money that was actually invested, after 12 months, we actually got back 60% of it. And that one was so amazing, and right now we are looking at a scale up.
We have got to where we have got is because of the use of mobile and digital technology. So we can harness that as far as Somalia is concerned, but there is already an existing infrastructure which can definitely be leveraged on. That's what I would say.
Someone demonstrated that technology through practical work and training, then that farm wouldn't have been there. So I agree with him. Unless we have the skills, we have the technology, we have the right seeds, we have the right input, and demonstrate that one to the people who we want to become farmers, then it will not be that simple. My soil is simpler.
Somalia is a difficult area to work, but the opportunities outweighs the difficulties. Yeah, what you need to hear is that there is business opportunities. If you have money, you bring it, you give it to me, I'll do it for you. If you are scared of going there, you just bring it and then we'll do it for you.
Excellent.
Which is we just recently launched a crowdfunding, equity-based crowdfunding platform called Tarmiya, really focused on supporting young entrepreneurs to start or to scale up their businesses. Because this is one of the major issues that young people in Somalia are facing. Trying to get funding to start their businesses is one of the major challenges. Unemployment rate in Somalia is about 75%. So we see job creation, them starting their own businesses as a way to eradicate unemployment.
Today we have 60 staff members, and we have grown to about 5 million USD in terms of revenue, and that wouldn't have been possible if we didn't have investors who understood the ground very well.
I think this is really powerful. If you're going to hear why Somalia is different, you need to hear from people who are there, who are investing, who are working. And I'm very happy that the session is about partnerships, and there are existing partnerships together. To that note, I would be remiss if I didn't invite our colleagues from the government to come and talk to that question, but also, I think, dismiss the belief that there's no government in Somalia. That's from 30 years ago. So may I invite our Honorable DG, Mohammed Umar, as well as Alas Abdullahi, to come and please tell us what are the 2-3 things that this audience needs to know about where government is, where are the policies, and where are you in being a facilitating partner to private sector. So please come and join me here, and I'll ask the panelists if they can return to their desks.
I would like to emphasize in government of Somalia now doing a lot. You heard last night about the relieving. We are progressing now in MIGA. Company law is approved. A lot of regulation is approved. Dr. Hussein sanitary and photosanitary now strategy on place. Now we are competing the world trade, and it is a so I heard now working in Somalia is not easy. Let me challenge you. Working and doing business in Somalia is easy. There is a lot of Kenyans, a lot of Turkish, a lot of Syrians, foreigners working inside Mogadishu without security guard. So that, and if you go to some Mogadishu, but so I phrase it, working in Somalia is hard, but doing business in Somalia is easy.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent, wonderful. Thank you. That has been exactly what I wanted you to say, and what I think people needed to hear, because this is not the Somalia of 1999. This is the Somalia of 2020 and the future. So absolutely, you're open for business. You're sitting together. People need to just get on a flight and come to you.
Business or Somali private sector has shown quite the resilience, and I say that because a lot of sectors, I would say major sectors, have existed after the collapse of the government in 1991, and only because it has existed because of the private sector taking over from the government since then. It was only 2012 since we had a government that's been recognized by the world. So you can understand the time frame that the private sector has really worked in Somalia, making sure services are delivered throughout the country.
So I'll close with the question of yesterday may have been, why Somalia? The question of today could possibly be, why not Somalia? Kind of like, maybe if we're interested. But the question of tomorrow is going to be, why didn't we? So thank you so much, everybody.